In this video, we'll talk about how to work with escape characters. So when you're programming, you're typing in characters from your keyboard. And sometimes, depending on what you type, a group of characters have significant meaning. They're keywords that actually tell the computer to perform some kind of action, such as the print statement function tells it to print something on the screen. But also, we've seen that individual characters can have an impact too, such as the equal sign or the plus sign. It is also true that characters like a single quote or double quote have meaning. However, there are times where what you would like to have is an alternate meaning to a particular character. For example, let's say that I have on line 12 the print statement with single quotes at the beginning and the end of the string of characters, but I want to include an apostrophe. Normally just putting in an apostrophe would indicate that the first single quote and the next single quote ends the string, and the computer would be confused because now I have another string that doesn't have a beginning. What we need to do is we need to tell the computer that we want to use an alternate meaning to the single quote character. And we do that by escaping it. I think the concept is really quite straightforward. A particular symbol can have multiple meanings. The fact that it's called an escape character, I'm not sure that is real self-explanatory. Escape to where? Escape why? Why are we escaping? But really, all it means is we're using an alternate meaning for a particular character. Ones that you commonly use are an alternate meaning for the single quote, for the double quote, for the N, for the T, and actually for a backslash. And in many languages, including Python, the character that you use to indicate you want to escape another character is a backslash. So on line 12, 13, 14, and 15, and 16, you can see that I'm escaping the single quote, the double quote, the backslash itself, the T, and the N. And when I run this code, I would see the apostrophe from line 12. I'd see the double quotes escaped from line 13. I'd see the backslash escaped from line 14. On line 15, I see an extra tab there and two tabs here. And I see a new line and another new line after let's test these. So the slash n indicates a new line, like hitting the enter key or on a return key on a keyboard. Those are really common. You'll see them used quite often. Not so much the escaped backslash, but common enough that I'm going to group it that way. Another way to put special characters in is to use a triple quoted string. Triple quoted string can either be triple quotes with doubles or single. And of course they have to start and match being the same. But after that, thing like the new line will automatically be inserted when you actually type in a new line. So if I come over here and I hit enter, I get a new line. Inside the triple quoted string, whatever I type in is literally represented when it prints out the message. They call this a string literal. It literally is going to pick up those invisible characters. We can't see that there's a new line character here, but there actually is. The computer sees it hitting enter actually adds a note, if you would, a designation that a new line has been added. And that gets picked up. And although it's not presented to us as humans any more than a tab is presented, other than the space there. I mean, I guess this is presented as a new line, right? But the thing is that there are invisible characters that get typed in, such as the new line in the tab. And because they're inside of the triple quoted string, they will literally be represented. And so we look at the test message as prints out. We'll see the pipe symbol, test new line, and then test single quotes on the next line. And notice that we didn't have to escape it. We didn't have to escape the double quotes. We didn't have to escape the tabs. We didn't have to escape the, well, actually, we did have to escape the double slash. We still need to do that, or the slash, backslash. Yeah, so sometimes instead of actually putting in all these escape sequences, if you want to put in, these special characters, tab and single quote, double quote, new line, you can use a string literal instead. The line continuation character we talked a little about before. There are times where your code gets so long that you want to make it more readable for other developers. Now the end user usually won't see this, but for the other developers to continue working with your code, you can put it on a different line. But the rules for when it can go on another line successfully isn't always that clear. Sometimes it'll just automatically work. Like here, just by putting a new line here, Python automatically said, hey, okay, I'm okay with that. I'll just go ahead and put in all that extra character instead of this. You gotta admit, it's a lot easier to read when I put it on two lines. Now, sometimes it's not just the length of what you're trying to type in. Sometimes it's just kind of the style that you're used to. For example, a style that's been around for quite a long time is you start a parenthesis on one line and you'll end it on the next line, just kind of, and usually it's kind of over like this. It's interesting. Having it on another line is really more of a style thing, and Python doesn't seem to care. However, if you type in the print and you put a new line before the starting parentheses, it does care. And that seems kind of weird to me, but then there's a lot of things in Python that's kind of weird. Whoever designed the language, and again, people sit around in a room coming up with, talking about what's going to be included in language and what the rules are, and then they implement the rules. And sometimes, since humans are making up the rules don't always make sense to other humans. For example, why is it okay to put the ending parenthesis on a new line, but you can't put the beginning one on the new line? I don't know. And if you do, it doesn't work. Oddly enough, not only does it not work, it also doesn't give you an error message, which seems really weird. That worked. That should work. It does. But this doesn't, and it doesn't even give you an error message. It just basically doesn't do anything. It ignores you. That seems kind of weird. But once again, the language is made by human beings, and so it does what it does. I mean, I can make a case of why they chose to do this, but does it really matter? At the end of the day, if I really want to do that, I can put a backslash there, and then it'll work just fine. Now this is just a sampling of the options that are available with escape sequences and things to kind of watch for. And every language that you'll come across will have something like this. They don't always use a backslash. Sometimes they use just double up on the character. There's other ways for them to do it, like a percentage sign. But the fact of the matter is that you can kind of expect every language you're going to come across to have something like this. And you'll have to look it up when you need it. You don't have to memorize it. Not all that important. The thing to memorize is that if you're not sure, just put some code together in a script and test things out. See if it's going to work. If your program isn't running like it should, like this one didn't even display at all, and you're wondering why that is, you just kind of have to, what I recommend is just make a simple little script and try your ideas over there, away from your program, because your program can have a lot of code in it, and sometimes that's overwhelming. Just isolate a couple of the commands you need to test and test it out. Anyway, that's the information I have for you about escape characters. I hope you found it useful. Thanks for watching.